Also breaking news in the manhunt for the killer still on the loose tonight in the deadly mass shooting at Brown University. Just a short time ago, take a look at this. Authorities releasing these new images tonight of a person of interest dressed in black there, walking through a neighborhood, his face covered by a mask. At some points here, his eyes are visible. And what we've now learned about that person of interest who had been in custody. Whit Johnson on the scene in Providence again tonight.
Tonight, the urgent manhunt is back on to find a suspect in the deadly mass shooting at Brown University, still at large after more than 48 hours.
We want to see the individual that pulled the trigger on these young kids identified, apprehended, and brought to justice.
Moments ago, police releasing these new surveillance videos showing a person of interest in dark clothing walking in a residential area hours before the shooting Saturday afternoon, seen crossing the street, and this image showing him from the front.
We're asking the public for assistance to be able to identify this individual.
It follows a stunning turn in the investigation. A man previously detained, released overnight. The Rhode Island Attorney General telling ABC News the man was effectively cleared after analyzing the evidence.
Do you believe people here should feel safe right now?
I do. I understand why there is deep discomfort. However, we have a very safe community with a lot of law enforcement resources at our disposal right now.
The first reports of an active shooter coming just after 4 p.m. Saturday in the midst of final exams.
2 victims, 1 shot in the back, 1 shot in the shoulder.
Students barricading themselves inside classrooms, hiding underneath desks. Law enforcement going room by room.
Providence Police! Hands!
Police say the gunman entered the Barris and Holly Engineering Building and opened fire on the first floor.
And we begin with the deaths of Rob Reiner and his wife, Michele, their son, now suspected in their murders. NBC4 News was the first to break the story last night, and today detectives are retracing the steps of their son, Nick, now being held with no bail on suspicion of murdering his parents.
Our investigative reporter Eric Leonard has learned more about his arrest. He joins us live in the newsroom right now with an update. Eric.
Hi, Colleen and Michael. Well, our law enforcement contacts now tell us Nick Reiner was tracked down by a group of detectives who are often sent out to make high-risk arrests. They say they spotted Reiner smoking on a sidewalk near Vermont and Exposition and say he may have ridden public transit to get there. LAPD robbery homicide detectives are trying to follow Nick Reiner's path from the family home in Brentwood to Exposition Park, where he was arrested Sunday night.
He was subsequently booked for murder.
Now inside LA County Jail, where he's on a no-bail hold until he's charged and brought to court, which could happen in the next days. Several law enforcement sources tell us Nick Reiner didn't drive, and in the hours between the murders and the time he was caught, he may have walked south from Brentwood to the Metro Expo line, then ridden it to the Vermont station, very close to where he was arrested. The bodies of Rob and Michele Reiner were discovered Sunday afternoon inside the couple's home in Brentwood. They'd attended a party with Nick at the nearby home of Conan O'Brien the night before. Sources familiar with what happened there tell NBC News Nick was behaving in ways that made other famous guests uncomfortable, and that Rob and Michele Reiner shared their worries about Nick's health with other partygoers.
To all units, proceed to your post assignments. All units, proceed to your post assignments.
That's the sound of the police! Whoop, whoop. That's the sound of the beast!
Yeah, baby, it's episode 11 of Probable Cause on December 16th, 2025. Jeff Norman and the FBI whistleblower, Greg Dillon with you, as we always are on Tuesday nights. Top of the evening to you, Greg.
Thank you. And the rest of the day to you.
Thank you. I've always thought of you as a person of interest, not in the sense that I think you committed a crime, but I just think you're a fascinating guy. So,
I appreciate it. Thank you.
But now that I see the significance of a person of interest in other contexts, I may have to recharacterize you as something else. Well, the police. What is the difference between a suspect and a person of
it's semantics, Jeff? I mean, years ago, no one was offended if they used the word suspect, and now they feel that labels someone, so now they're going to go with a different label, which is person of interest. So it sounds less accusatory, I guess, but it's basically the same animal.
Really? I thought it was definitely less accusatory.
It is, but it isn't. I mean, because if you say there's someone who's a person of interest, they're trying to find that person, either to
well, maybe couldn't somebody that they think is a witness or that knows something about the crime, couldn't that be someone who's a person of interest?
It could be, yeah, but it seems like it's reserved almost exclusively for someone that is a suspect, but they don't want to come out and quite call it that.
All right. It's like the difference between a homeless person and an unhoused person. That's semantics.
Or an urban outdoorsman will be the next step.
Oh, no. I haven't heard that one. Well, what's his name? Nick Reiner, the son of Michele and Rob Reiner, could not make it to court today because he wasn't medically cleared. What does that mean?
Well, I mean, possibly he's going through some type of withdrawal or some sort of severe mental breakdown. But I thought the last thing I had heard was they had changed that status, I thought.
Does that mean he'll be in court tomorrow?
I believe so.
Okay. So they were trying to make it seem like it was a routine thing, but you're saying maybe it's not routine. There's something going on with him.
It would appear that either had such a he's in such an emotional state, or he's physically going through withdrawal, where it would have made it problematic, I guess, to have him arraigned.
Right. Well, before they found him in downtown Los Angeles, he went to a hotel in Santa Monica. I know exactly where the hotel is. I used to live near there.
Okay.
And they found blood all over his room. And I would assume it was his own blood because, they would have seen him with blood all over him if he, when he checked in.
So there could be possibly an attempted suicide that he couldn't follow through on. That could be a possibility. And that way, that would also explain the medical sort of exemption.
Right. Now, at first I saw that there was, I think, $4 million bail or something like that. And I was thinking, well, the only people who might bail him out would be the two people he killed. So, but then they withdrew the bail. How is that determined whether or not there's bail? Or whether or not somebody could be released on bail is what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, it's supposed to be determined on flight risk. I mean, that's supposed to be the primary driver in making a determination on bail.
This guy doesn't seem like much of a flight risk. He was out in the open.
True. I guess they thought possibly he would be able to access that type of money to put up a bond, and they maybe reconsidered it and thought better of it.
Right. So they said he's going to be charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, and he's facing the death penalty potentially, also life in prison. They don't do the death. Is that what the head shake means? It's not really going to happen. It's just on the books.
There is no death penalty in California, apparently. So he only.
There isn't. Why am I reading that? There's a possible death penalty.
You could be right. I'm going.
Well, I know I'm right that I read it. It doesn't mean that what I read is correct.
and I know I'm right that I heard that there's only the possibility of life imprisonment.
Okay.
But
it might be that the death penalty is so rare that it's just not happening. Maybe if somebody in the audience could check that for us.
Good news is one of us will be right.
Right. So we were talking last night on the phone. I never heard you so riled up. You were very upset about the police press conference. This guy, Alan Jackson, who I think is the deputy chief of police in Los Angeles, he gave a wacky press conference. Yeah. And he's basically indicated there's no threat to the community. And the same, you were also upset about the mayor of Providence, who said the same thing. And you were like, well, how do they know there's no threat if they don't know who the suspect is?
Right. It's a trite expression that has become very popular. I do follow the news, more local and state than national, but I try to follow both. But it just seems like repeatedly in these instances, whether it's the mayor or usually the police chief, that trot out this canard, like there's rest assured there's no threat to the public. And unfortunately, at least in Connecticut, we don't have really journalists. We have stenographers. They stand there and they nod, and they either write in their notebook or they hold up their phones to record. But there's never any pushback to that question. And finally, someone in Providence challenged the mayor. I think it was Mayor Smiley, and said, "If you don't know who this person is or where they are, how do you stand there and make the remark that there's no threat to the public?" Of course there's a threat to the public.
Right. All right. Well, we'll get to Providence in a little while, but
Okay.
in Los Angeles, it was the same thing. But it seemed like Alan Hamilton was lying, I guess, in a sense. So he had to have known the answer to some of the questions he was asked. And it's one thing to say, no, I can't tell you.
Yes.
But he gave some answers, which didn't seem like it was actually the truth. Let's take a look at, I put together just some highlights, or you might call them lowlights.
Yeah.
Of the press conference. The thing that got me is I understand how, especially right after a crime occurs, that the police are going to be tight-lipped. They don't want to say too much too soon. But this guy was saying even less than what was already publicly known.
Yes.
The mayor and the governor had said that the people that were killed, who they were, Rob Reiner and his wife. And he's like, oh, no, we can't give out the name. But they give out like the fact that the age of the people, which just happens to be the same age. So it's like,
exactly.
Some kind of game. It's just wacky. All right, let's take a look. We can stop if you want. At any point, we can stop it.
Sure.
Just a few different points of the press conference that I put together. This was outside the Reiner's house the night that. Well, we don't know when he was killed. Actually, they haven't said whether he was.
Yeah. They haven't pinpointed a time. Yeah.
All right, let's take a look.
Specifically to your first question, no one has been detained. Specifically to your second question, no one is being interviewed as a suspect. We're waiting for the legal process to move forward. We have to obtain a search warrant for the residence. As soon as that is complied with, we will be conducting a full crime scene investigation on the interior and the exterior of the residence and the surrounding neighborhood.
Just to follow up.
Now, isn't that kind of knocking over a straw man in the sense that they might need a search warrant to thoroughly search the premises everywhere, but when there's an emergency such as a double murder, the police come in. They got to make sure they're safe and the murderer is not there, right?
You're allowed to do what's called a protective sweep to make sure that there's nobody else injured or unconscious, that the suspect is not actually still on the premises. After that is done, that is when you need to secure the premises. And I believe it's called a Brady warrant that they need to obtain to go in there and now begin their actual investigation, which, fingerprinting and DNA collection and, photography, video recording, all the things that as you drill down into the investigation. But initially you have the legal authority to do a protective sweep of the interior and the exterior.
All right, and after they do that, are they required to leave? And I get that they're not yet authorized to do the whole sweep and all that kind of stuff. But can they stay there?
They can. To make sure that evidence is not removed, taken, damaged, contaminated, that type of thing.
Right. Okay. Let's go on.
Chief, is there somebody from the family not allowing detectives inside the home right now?
That's inconsequential. We have to comply with the legal process. It doesn't matter whether the family allows us in or not. At this time, it's a death investigation. Again, until we get inside and we make a determination, we can't call it anything. So we're going to conduct that We're going to conduct that investigation at the appropriate time. We will identify what kind of incident it is, and if it's determined to be a crime, we will seek the suspect. We will bring them to justice, and we will take them into custody.
The mayor has confirmed it's the Reiners. The mayor has already confirmed it's the Reiners. Can you tell us?
I can't speak for the mayor, but I can speak for the Los Angeles Police Department. The Los Angeles County Coroner will identify the decedents that are inside of the residence. I want to be clear.
He never explained why. What's your take on, is this policy everywhere that the police aren't supposed to identify it? I mean, I don't understand why. The media knows it, the governor knows it, the mayor knows it, everybody knows it, but the police department say, well, we got to wait for the coroner.
Yeah, that's confusing. I do know that the coroner's office in California, I understand, has greater authority than in a lot of other states. They sort of control the crime scene initially, and then they sort of turn it over to the investigators, where that's kind of not how it works, at least in Connecticut. But to your point, there's a reason why people go from the police departments to schools for training on how to be a spokesperson for your agency. I don't believe maybe this person had the advantage of doing that, because he sort of ham-handed his way through these interviews, and he's losing the trust and credibility when he does it. Because if you've announced the ages of the victims in that house, then obviously you're confident in who they are. And if they have died of stab wounds, then there has been a crime committed. Even if it was a murder homicide, it's still a crime there. So he's
like, why are they allowed to say their ages but not their names? Like,
yeah, but I mean, at the same time, we're trying to determine if a crime's been committed. It's like, yeah, it's there's 2 stabbing victims. So
he didn't even have to do a press conference. This is pretty soon after the bodies were found. Right. They could have just issued a statement saying whatever, that they could have taken time to carefully word in the right way, and then said more details coming tomorrow, right?
And that's exactly what they should have done. You're 100% correct on that.
All right, once a week or so.
Well, I mean, the thing is, it's very hard to question a press statement. I mean, and that's where he ran afoul.
Right. Plus, you can take the time to make sure you word it correctly. When you're speaking extemporaneously,
it's much more difficult.
Yeah, inevitably, you're going to be imperfect.
Wherever we can be transparent and provide information to the public, we will release it as soon as we can.
That's the money quote right there.
Yeah, right.
Wherever we can be transparent, we will.
When we choose to be.
I don't think so, Alan. That's maybe something that should have not been said.
Yes.
All right.
Are the bodies still there at the house, sir?
No, okay, so nothing has occurred inside the house. The house is in the exact same state it was when the officers arrived, just to be clear.
So that means the bodies were not removed? Would that be standard operation? Okay, because I never saw any video or photos of them being removed. I mean, I don't want to be gory about actually seeing the bodies, but just from a distance, I don't recall seeing that. There's a lot of mystery to this. We'll get to some of it as we go on.
Well, I did hear something that I have not been able to confirm. I read a report that the daughter who discovered the parents, there was a report that the mother was still actually alive and identified the son as the attacker. But,
yeah, I saw that too. That's interesting.
I've never heard any follow-up on that, so I'm not sure if there's anything to it.
Yeah. Well, we're getting our information from any and every source other than LAPD. I also saw that the way it got discovered was there was a masseuse who showed up for an appointment, and when there was no answer, somehow the daughter became aware of that, and she came over to the house, and that's how and why the bodies were discovered.
And apparently the daughter lives only across the street, so she was there within minutes.
Yeah. And Nick, the alleged murderer, was staying in a guest house.
Yes.
On the property. Okay.
Just to be clear.
Are we safe in Brentwood, the neighbors of the community?
Oh, are we safe in Brentwood? I'm sorry. Yeah, so we have officers here at the scene. We have officers in the area. We're not looking for anyone in the Brentwood area at this point. We're not looking for anyone because we're still working on that part of the investigation. There was recently a change within the department.
Okay. So how far away from what he should have said was that? I get what you're saying, but I'm not as riled up about that as you, because he's not really saying, explicitly everybody's safe, but what should he have said?
Well, he's responding to questions that don't have any, great answer to. I know he wants to reassure the public that they're safe, and he could just say, we have an increased patrol presence in the neighborhood right now.
Well, didn't he say something very close to that?
He did. Yeah, no, he did. That's the most he can honestly say at that point, really, because you can't convince people that they're safe when you're at the same time saying we don't know who did it or where they are.
Right. Now, we have learned since then that Nick was arrested at about the same time. If I was looking at the time codes and the various videos correctly, it was a few minutes after this press conference that he was arrested. But this guy must have known that they were after him at that point.
He should have.
And I gave you a theory last night when we were talking on the phone that you didn't really embrace, but I think it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
If there's going to be any legitimate reason why he wouldn't say that there's a suspect, remember what I said on the phone to you was, well, because whoever this person is that's on the loose, if they hear that everybody knows that the police are after him, he's going to be much more likely to stay underground, so to speak. Whereas otherwise he might show himself. And in fact, he did show himself. He was just smoking a cigarette out on the street in downtown Los Angeles. So in light of what happened, was I so off the mark or what? Give me a little love, Greg. Come on.
No, I understand where you're coming from on that, but I have to think that even in an altered mental state, he has to realize he's suspect number one out of the gate. He publicly was fighting with his parents only hours before.
Right.
And that's going to bring him right to the top of suspect number one list. I mean, he has to realize that.
Right. Well, I know it's not like there's necessarily a definite big difference, but I'm just saying, why not err on the side where let's make it a little less likely that the suspect is going to stay in hiding?
Well, I mean, just the fact that he left the guest house and fled the area, I mean, he is also an indication right off the bat of guilt.
Well, yeah, all right. But well, then if not what I'm saying, why do you think that they didn't want to say that he's a suspect?
I just think,
or a person of interest.
I just think this gentleman was poorly prepared to go out there and speak to the press.
All right. So no real logical answer, just incompetence. That is,
I get the impression that he probably did not want to be there, but somebody told him we're holding a press conference and it starts in 20 minutes and you're it.
All right, that could be the case.
There was recently a change within the department. Robbery Homicide Division handles all homicides now in the city of Los Angeles. So I apologize. I didn't know if you knew that or not. All homicides occurring in the city of Los Angeles are now handled by Robbery Homicide Division as of the end of October.
Actually, that was a good thing that he said, because people got the impression that this was a robbery homicide because they heard on the news, oh, robbery homicide. But it's just because that's the name of that division of the police department.
Yeah, I'm surprised they bundled it with the, smaller departments will oftentimes do that, or I should say medium-sized departments. But a department the size of Los Angeles traditionally, have very specialized units, and so I'm kind of surprised that they would combine the two because homicides and robberies are not always go hand in hand. But
for example, here they did not go hand.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
All right.
Now, when I tell you that we have not identified a suspect, it doesn't mean that we're not working the case. We will not identify a suspect until that person is identified as a suspect, and we're legally seeking them if there is a crime to be reported and if that person is a suspect in that crime.
That's a word salad, huh?
Yeah, that I can't even begin to follow that one. That went off the rails like right out of the gate.
All right, but I got the money quote here as an audio clip.
I want to be clear with one thing. Wherever we can be transparent and provide information to the public, we will release it as soon as we can.
All right. It's all about transparency.
Yep.
So Rob Reiner was a very controversial figure, and there's a very strong reaction to this double murder. And a lot of it has to do with how much people loved him because of the movies he made. Also, some people who agreed with his political advocacy love him for that. But there's also a lot of people who hate him for his political advocacy. And President Trump tweeted or posted something that generated a very strong reaction. Let's take a look at that. In my opinion, this is a bad tweet because of the fact that he claimed that the murder was motivated by Trump derangement syndrome. That is absolutely ridiculous, and I can't believe Trump said that. But as far as criticizing a public figure who has just been killed, I have absolutely no problem with that. And I think Trump should have, if he wanted to, just said whatever he didn't like about Rob Reiner, and that would have been fine. What's your opinion?
Sometimes silence speaks volumes, and I think a very he wasn't asked this question. This is something he volunteered, I guess, through his tweet.
Yeah.
I think it would have been much better and much more effective and less polarizing had he said absolutely nothing about it.
Okay, but aside from Trump, what do you think about what I said, which is that I don't think there's anything wrong at all in general. Again, not whether it's about Rob Reiner, not whether or not it's Trump, just in general. I see nothing wrong with criticizing a public figure right after they died, no matter how they died. That's my position. What do you think?
There's nothing wrong with it. I think the optics aren't great. And, somebody once said, you never, I think it was an old ancient, kind of a proverb, you never speak badly of the dead. The closer in proximity to the time of death, I think that becomes more important. As time goes by, then I think it becomes less of a sensitive topic to make a criticism or a harsh observation about someone. But I would steer clear of it personally.
Well, actually, more than I don't disapprove, I think it's necessary in a sense, because here is a guy who took political positions, who was involved in influencing the public. And, he was responsible for pushing the Russiagate hoax, for example. And so I don't think that it makes sense to expect people who don't want the public to believe that nonsense to just stay silent while everybody says how wonderful he is. You followed him? I think the guy actually might have even been a CIA asset. I saw some weird videos that came out. I've been following Rob Reiner for a long time, and I had heard before that some people suspect he's a CIA asset, and it was more about just the relentlessness with which he tweeted. It's like, what? This guy is a film director. Why is he even doing this so much? Yeah. But then what I just discovered today was he actually made a video with John Brennan and James Clapper. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
Yeah, let me show you a little of that.
Okay.
Have you ever seen anything like this happen in this country? I mean, anything like this kind of attack on our political system?
Well, no, not at least to me, as disturbing as this. I'm a Vietnam War veteran. I went through all the stresses that in the aftermath of the Vietnam War, but I never felt even then that our fundamental institutions were jeopardized. In fact, our fundamental institutions proved themselves resilient then, and we actually came out of all that a better country.
To me, it underscores 2 points. One is how determined Mr. Putin is to shape the political landscape, both inside of Russia as well as outside of Russia. Whether it be in Europe or the United States or the Middle East, other places, he seeks ways to manipulate and exploit the environments.
You see what I mean? It's not just a matter of respecting the dead. This is a guy who made propaganda films about extremely important issues.
Yes, no, and I didn't realize that. I knew he was a harsh critic of the president and a political, zealot, really. But I didn't realize he actually went to that level.
Here's another one that I would call this just outright propaganda too. This is a solo video he made.
I'm Rob Reiner, and America, we've got a problem. We've been attacked by a foreign enemy power, and our president refuses to defend us. Donald Trump is meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin one-on-one in a closed-door meeting with no aides present and no record of what will be said. Putin's government attacked our democracy by interfering in the 2016 election to help Donald Trump become president. That is not in dispute.
That is not in dispute. See, we can't let that propaganda go unanswered just because he made some good movies.
Yes, no, I agree. I mean, he's taking advantage of this platform that he has because of his position. But it bothers me when people say that is not in dispute. And it's like, of course it's in dispute.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
I mean, it's like when people say, there's no denying climate change. I don't want to get off on that subject, but I'm saying, well, no. Actually, there is a lot of research that is contrary to your position. So why do you get up there and say this is not in dispute? It's like, of course it is in dispute. If it wasn't in dispute, Jeff, he wouldn't have the need to make a film to try to convince you of his position.
Exactly. And that's part of the reason I don't like Trump's comment, because if he hadn't said that stupid thing about it being a TDS motivated murder, then we could have focused more on why Rob Reiner deserves to be criticized.
Yes. Yeah. He could have taken out a section of that tweet and it would have been more appropriate, I guess.
Yeah. James Woods. Are you familiar with James Woods and his post-acting career life on Twitter and now X?
Yes, to a degree, yes.
I think he's a great tweeter. He's very conservative, Trump supporter, blah, 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 blah. The opposite of Rob Reiner. And James Woods went on Fox News and he was interviewed by Jesse Waters. And he said something that made me pause.
I'd be at a party at my...
Hold on a second. I think I have to... I have two things on at once.
Okay.
What's going on here? Let me try that again. I'm sorry. James Woods.
I'd be at a party at my friend's house. And people who didn't know that Rob and I knew each other, they'd see us laughing and, kidding each other. And they'd go, how is it that you and Rob Reiner are friends? And I said, well, what do you mean? They said, well, you're so different in your politics and so on. I said, look, let me explain something about Rob Reiner so that you know. First of all, I judge people by how they treat me. And Rob Reiner was a godsend in my life. We got along great. We loved each other. We had more fun together doing a very serious subject. It was a way to kind of get through it. And he was always on my side. But when people would say to me, well, what do you think of his politics? I would say, I think Rob Reiner is a great patriot. Do I agree with some of or many of his ideas on how that patriotism should be enacted to celebrate the America that we both love? No. But he doesn't agree with me either, but he also respects my patriotism. We had a different path to the same destination, which was a country we both loved. And yes, I can see how you can disagree with him, but because you disagree with people, doesn't mean that you have to hate people.
Yeah, no, I mostly like that. I agree, just because you disagree with them, you don't have to hate them. On the other hand, I think that because of his personal relationship with him, I didn't include that in this clip, but elsewhere in the interview, he explained in more detail that when his career was in the toilet, Rob Reiner actually fought for him to be cast in one of his films when the executives didn't want him. And it basically saved his career, according to James Woods. And on top of that, he has a good personal relationship with him. So I think because of that, he may be sugarcoating what a scumbag Rob Reiner is. I wouldn't call him a patriot. Although maybe, he might have been, I don't know, he might have felt that he was doing the right thing. I guess I wouldn't dispute that.
I think he was misguided. He was passionate, but misguided in his views. Very close-minded. I don't think he was as open-minded as he could have been. But without trying to make light of it, if you closed your eyes and listened to that interview, it sounded like Larry David speaking to me. The voices are almost interchangeable, but that's just me.
I'll tell you my feeling about celebrities who pontificate about, political issues and so forth. I'm not one of these people who says they shouldn't comment. But what I don't like is that they always take advantage of their fame and just simply spew their side of it, and they never subject themselves, almost never subject themselves to challenging interviews or debates. And that's what I hate. If he's so fucking smart, let's see you debate somebody, a truly formidable opponent who's well informed. Let's see how it comes off then. To me, if you're intellectually honest, you would welcome that.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's always more persuasive if your argument can stand up to the opposing argument.
Right. They always choose the soft interview where they either know the questions in advance or they know the person has the identical political positions and they're not going to be ambushed or have to justify their position. I agree with you there.
Of course, to do that, they would have to actually take the initiative, because it's not like there's any kind of debate format that exists where it's like, oh, okay, I'll do that show. There is no such show. The only show that I can think of that comes somewhat close to that at times is Bill Maher's show. And I don't have any clips from it, but as I recall, when Rob Reiner was on Bill Maher's show, and I'm talking about the HBO show, he didn't do very well. Bill Maher did ask him some difficult questions, and Bill Maher himself has TDS, but Bill Maher has good moments, and I can't remember. I wish I could remember, but he was asking some challenging questions, and it was like Rob Reiner looked very clueless to me, like he lives in a bubble.
Yeah, well, they don't expect to be challenged in their positions. They expect it to be accepted and embraced, and when someone pushes back, they're at a loss of how to respond.
Right. Now, Bill Maher's other show, have you seen Club Random? Do you know about that show?
No, I have not.
This is a show that Bill Maher does at his house. This is an internet show. And he sits
it's just where he sits across from the other person and he
sits there drinking. Exactly. Drinking, smoking weed. I mean, I would never do that except on an even numbered or an odd numbered day myself. But Bill Maher gets pretty buzzed. And sometimes the person he's interviewing does too. And I think he just interviewed Rob Reiner. Actually, I believe it came out today, but I haven't seen it yet in a Club Random episode. Now, Somerville John. See, I disagree with that, Somerville John, because, like I was saying, they shouldn't take advantage of their fame and hide from opposing views. But people, they don't have less rights than us. I mean, anybody who is a good citizen and they care about what's going on, I can't blame them for wanting to be part of the discussion. You follow what I'm saying, John? Give me a call, John, at 520-525-8359. We can talk about it. 520-525-8359.
I think that the problem, Jeff, is that they tend to lecture us. I mean, it's one thing to hold an opinion and to share the opinion, but to berate people and scold and lecture and just this very sort of demeaning attitude that they take with the public. I think that's where you get the pushback from the public saying, whatever. What did Laura Ingraham say? Something about shut up and dribble. For celebrities and sports figures, it's like, we just want you to entertain us. We don't want to really be scolded and lectured about your political positions.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of like what I'm saying, just in a slightly different way. Yeah. All right. John is calling. It takes a moment with this system here to actually get in the position where I can take the call. Okay. But I see he is calling. And this is Somerville John in South Carolina. Jeez, it takes too long. There we go. Okay. John, good evening to you.
Yes, good evening, Jeff. Good evening, Greg, and good evening to your audience. I have to agree with what Greg just said regarding people who are really not experts about what they're saying. I would assume, if Mr. Reiner wanted to say that, he wanted to talk about movies and other actors and things like this, then we should respect his opinion because that is his profession. But to talk about screwball stuff that he really does not investigate himself and is probably maybe being a tool used by other people just to promote silly ideas. It's not a good thing. And maybe also on the opposite side, the interviewers should refrain from asking these silly questions, because, you know, it's like me. If you were to ask me, what do you think about brain surgery? And I gave you my opinion. Yes, I'm free to say this, but do you really want to take my advice about brain surgery? I would think not, you know. So, I mean, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but and it's not just the actors, but, you know, sports people and other people that are what do you call them, popular, you know, in the public view.
Right. Well, I think that you've made a good argument about why they're not very credible, and we shouldn't attach much weight to what they say. But to expect them to shut up, which I think is what you were saying in your comment, that's the part I'm quibbling with, because everybody who cares says their opinion. And there's a wide spectrum from people who aren't known at all to people who are very famous and everything in between, especially with social media, and everybody's opining. So to say that celebrities should withdraw from the debate while everybody else is yakking away, that doesn't make sense.
Well, I can respond, Jeff. I understand, but I can say that, you know, for me, perhaps maybe for Greg, we do not have the same availability to go on a big public forum and be questioned, because, at least for myself, I'm a nobody. So, you know, nobody asks me anyway, if you understand. I think these people are taking advantage of their notoriety, and that is kind of a mistake.
Well, another problem with what you're saying is it's not really an easy or obvious thing to be able to book people on interview shows based on their level of expertise, because then you get into like activists and people with you know, the ACLU or the Southern Poverty Law Center or any of these advocacy groups. And who's to say if whatever spokesman or activist is talking, who's to say that their expertise is sufficient? And maybe some celebrities are smart enough and are close to being, you know, to having a very well-informed opinion.
That is that is understandable. I can understand that, but I know it used to be that celebrities were a lot smarter and wouldn't get into this trap.
Really?
And
you're saying that celebrities in general used to be smarter. How did you make that determination?
Well, if you look back, just to take a name, Bob Hope, you never heard Bob Hope say anything bad about any president. So, you know,
well, that's a different issue than I don't know that makes them smarter, or maybe smarter strategically, I guess. But I thought you meant like they're better informed. They were more well informed or something in the old days.
Well, as far as I know, Bob Hope was well informed, at least about the oil industry, because he practically owned Texaco Oil. But so he couldn't have been a dummy. But
fair enough. Mean, so do you think that Jon Stewart should do a show like The Daily Show?
Well, he does it. That's his job. We know that he is just going and making this show as the court jester, right? Nobody really listens to what, or they should not listen to what he has to say. He's just being an entertainer.
I think a lot of people get their news. I think a lot of people get their news exclusively from him and people like him, actually.
Well, then that's very sad. It doesn't speak very highly of the people that, you know, go to him for, you know, for honest, unbiased news, right? I mean, you know, I'm sure he doesn't know anything about Europe, you know.
Well, the more important question is, if not a person of interest, how should we refer to Greg Dillon? He is a fascinating guy.
I'm glad you think so.
What's that?
We listen to to Greg for his law enforcement knowledge.
There you go.
We all the people here consider Greg an expert and a reference point in this particular subject. I mean, it's just, it's his business, it's his profession. Obviously, he did it for a long time.
Yes, he did.
He's not some sort of crazy person that we see here on our computer screen. He comes across very professional for everybody. The same with yourself. We listen to you for the same reason.
Oh, you're too
the same reason we listen to Scott Ritter. They stay on subject and they give good information on the things that they know about. I would never ask Greg, who's the best dentist here in South Carolina.
Ask him who the best opera singer is.
Who is the best opera singer, Greg?
Andrea Bocelli, who I just saw this past weekend, and Jeff knew about it. That was a setup question. Hey, I think this is my favorite episode so far, Jeff, with all the compliments that we've been getting from John. This might be the best one for me so far.
Well, that's good. John is in South Carolina. I don't know if you've been enduring a terrible cold wave like we have been in North Carolina. Has it been around 20 degrees there also?
20 degrees. We have a factor of like 9.
That's expected for Connecticut. But what about South Carolina?
No, Greg, we were 24 degrees this morning.
Wow.
So the past 2 days have just been horrible, and we understand now that it's going to break. Maybe tomorrow it'll be the end of it for a while.
Yeah, I was getting all these messages to run the water overnight so that the pipes don't freeze, and open the cabinets so that the heat gets to them.
Yeah.
Wow. I thought the South meant warm weather, but apparently not. What do I know?
It is the global warming. I agree with Greg. The science is not settled. If it was, we would never be getting cold weather this far south.
All right. Global cooling, more like it.
Yeah, right.
All right, John. Well, thanks for calling. I think you should call every episode like you used to and ask the inspector. It's always a pleasure to hear from you.
Well, thank you very much. I enjoyed the call.
Okay,
thank you, John.
Take care.
Yes, good night.
Good night. John in Somerville, a person of interest. All right. What about the person of interest in Providence? There was a mass shooting at Brown University. 2 people were killed. I forget how many were injured. They apprehended somebody that was called a person of interest. They, I think, was the FBI. So that's one question I have. Well, first of all, let me finish that thought. Then it was determined that the person that was a person of interest wasn't that interesting, wasn't that fascinating, and they let him go. And in the opening video we showed, did we show it? Was it in the opening? I can't remember. The new person of interest? Was that in the opening?
I think there was some footage of the.
All right, because I don't have it. I don't have it by itself. I hope it was in the opening. So, let me see if I can find it though while you're talking. But one question I have for you is, when and why does the FBI get involved in a crime situation? My impression from a distance, being an idiot layman that I am, although very sexy, a sexy idiot layman, is that it's mostly when it's a federal crime or there's some interstate travel.
Correct.
But nonetheless, they sometimes get involved, even if it's just a local crime, which is the case in Providence. So I'm confused. Who makes the determination, and on what basis does the FBI get involved in a local situation?
Well, I don't want to call them party crashers because that sounds a little harsh. But when there's a case of national interest or even just regional interest, the FBI will make themselves readily available to assist in any way that they can. I think part of it, the selfish reason is they want to polish their public image as the elite crime fighters. And part of it is they are very good at making themselves a valuable asset to state and local police agencies to foster goodwill and cooperation, interagency cooperation, that type of thing. So there's probably more than one motivation for it. But you're right. Unless it's a out and out federal crime or there's an interstate aspect to it, they don't automatically get to join the party. They have to be invited to a degree.
So we can assume then that the Providence Police Department asked them to join the party?
Yes. Yeah. Because they can provide services that are beyond the scope of probably even the Rhode Island State Police at this point, with their geo tracking of cell phones, their enhanced forensic ability, all those types of services that are usually beyond the budget of a small to medium sized agency.
All right. Well, let's take a look at that expert crack special crime fighting technique that no local police department could ever do. Here they are looking for evidence at Brown University in the snow. Look at that. Those are very special shoes that only the FBI has. No need for any tools of any kind, like a rake or a shovel or something.
You see them, that they're kicking the snow out of the way, looking step by step, looking to see if there's anything in the snow.
Now, you were in the FBI. Did you have special training for kicking snow out of the way?
Yeah, we had evidence detecting shoes that were made to go through snow.
Show, let me see.
Yeah.
See
Some
right
of
over
the
here.
look like some of them are wearing sneakers
There's that team
too,
as well.
but they're getting freezing,
doing the exact same thing across the
wet,
street.
cold feet. Look at them all.
Yeah.
It's not like only one of them's there. They got a lot of manpower with
We're looking
this.
right now at the FBI, who is gathered there as part of the investigation. And John, at times we've seen them with actual rakes combing through some of the.
I like my
snow-covered
narration
ground there,
better
some
than
of
the newscasters.
Shrubs,
Yeah.
some of the trees. They're obviously looking in very specific areas. Again, this is live, watching the FBI.
Oh, I hate to see this.
Obviously looking for any bit of evidence.
Providence Police. Now I think the real reason is they didn't want to have to walk around in the snow. Hey, let's get the FBI to do it.
Well, first of all, I mean, let's back up a little bit. That's something that should have been done by the second day. Not the third day after it snowed. Not that you can predict the weather, but how many hours have gone by where that area has been contaminated. It's not a pristine evidence scene. You should have been able to figure out the route that he took in and out of the campus based on the video footage, and at that point, then everyone should have been pushed into that area, first of all, with metal detectors once there was snow on the ground. And then after the metal detectors went through, go to Home Depot and buy, a couple of dozen plastic lawn rakes instead of kicking your feet back and forth like dogs, trying to, I don't know. It's sad.
Be Kind star watching on YouTube agrees with Greg. Andrea Bocelli, misspelling, but we'll let that slide, is definitely one of the best.
Yeah.
But he doesn't sing in English for the most part. That's what I was saying to Greg on the phone. The guy's got a great voice. There's no arguing that. But over the course of an entire concert, I don't know if I would be thrilled the entire time, considering I don't understand a single word he says. But you didn't mind.
No, it was beautiful. There was enough variety in the talent where other people, came in and also did some songs. So I thought it was fine. But I
also sang in Italian.
Some did, yes.
Yeah. I love Italian food, but I don't know the language. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So what? Share your thoughts on the Brown University shooting.
Well, I mean, it's disappointing to see them processing a potential evidence scene the way they did. I'm very surprised that they would allow that. They do have an evidence collection or recovery section that probably should have been out there with metal detectors and rakes, and not just kicking snow back and forth, hoping to find, I'm not sure what at that point, but and I'm sure they weren't sure what they were looking for at that point either.
Well, yeah, but other than that, what's your analysis of the Brown shooting, and as far as just in general? For example, there's been some criticism that they don't have adequate cameras for surveillance. Looks like Ring camera footage or something that's been released.
Yeah, the thing that I heard, I mean, they say they claim they have over 800 cameras throughout the campus, which is, I believe, a quarter mile by a quarter mile. So we were talking a relatively small area physically. And the explanation most recently provided was the area of the building where the shooting occurred was an older section of the building, and therefore the cameras did not cover that area like it does in the more modern areas, and also the fact the building is located on the perimeter of the campus. But two things, jump out at me. You want your perimeter to have the most coverage, because everyone has to enter and exit, via the perimeter. So it would seem like you want most of your cameras covering the entry and exit points of the perimeter, maybe less so in the interior. And the other thing is the explanation or the justification of why the camera coverage in a building was inadequate because it was an older building makes absolutely no sense. It would be the same as saying—
Well, what is the explanation?
That was the explanation provided. I can't refute it, but the analogy would be, if you have an older building, you say, well, we don't have many smoke detectors or alarms or anything there because it's an older part of the building. The fire marshal would say it's more important to have more in the older part of the building because of the fact it's an older part of the building. You can't just explain it away as saying—
Well, where should the cameras be? In each classroom or in the hallways or what?
Well, certainly at every entrance and entry point for starters.
Right.
The common
they
hallways.
They didn't have any at the entrance and exits.
If they did, I'm sure there'd be some footage or at least stills of the suspect at this point.
Right. And what about the whole gun control issue? Anytime there's a mass shooting, there's that whole argument heats up again. We need more gun control.
These are handguns, Jeff. There's never going to be a way to implement gun control down to the level of a handgun. I mean, I can see the claim when they say someone had a .50 caliber sniper rifle or somebody had a full automatic, assault. Well, I shouldn't say assault rifle because there's no such thing, but a fully automatic rifle. But you're talking somebody with a handgun or even two handguns. There's no possible way to legislate against that type of gun ownership.
Right. Well, what about the argument that there would have been more deaths if he had been using a more advanced gun?
Possibly, but a lot of damage can be done with a shotgun, which are always going to be legal because of its hunting applications. And the only reason I'm sure this this criminal decided to go with two handguns is because they're much easier to conceal than a long weapon.
Right. All right. I'm just trying out my theories here. I also think that Conan O'Brien might have been an accomplice in the Rob Reiner murder. All
right. I'll let you run with that.
No, there was you know what I'm talking about? There was
he had the party, right?
Yeah. All right. Never mind. Bad joke. All right. So what else about you told me you have some things to say about the Providence situation.
Well, yeah, it was the Mayor Smiley's, trite remarks about, there's no—
everybody's safe. Yeah,
exactly. And I'm so glad that a reporter finally did their job as a reporter and asked a follow-up question and said, how can you make that kind of a statement when you don't know who did it and you don't know where this person is? And then he had to do a lot of backpedaling. And I'm glad. I'm hoping that will discourage other officials from making that same ridiculous remark every time there's some sort of a shooting or a crime, and they want to comfort the public, but they're disingenuous when they do it that way.
All right. Well, if that covers all your thoughts on it, should we just move to Has It Happened to Greg?
Yeah, sure. As long as we have some time, yeah.
All right. This is catching on so much with the audience. We have a question already tied to this segment.
Okay.
Well, I always see that name, H. Shearer. Well, it's definitely one of our regulars, and I appreciate his or her comments. Would you please tell me how to pronounce your pseudonym, and are you a male or a female? I just want to be able to make reference to you in a way that makes sense. The question for Ask Has This Happened to Greg? What is Greg's best interaction with the regular people on the street when you were a police officer? I mean, other than when you were given sexual favors in exchange for letting a female suspect go.
Oh my goodness, we're going to go there. No, back in the day, my police department, there was a center of town, and you were assigned a walking patrol beat, and it did give you a chance to interact with. Okay, Helen.
Hi, Helen. Nice to meet you.
And it gave you a chance to interact with people on a more personal level. By the fact that you weren't responding to a complaint where somebody is hurt or somebody is upset or somebody is intoxicated. So it was nice to be able to walk into stores, talk to the store owners or the employees, walk along the street, answer questions or just have a friendly conversation with people, because it was different. It was nice to not be in a heated or a uncomfortable scenario with people, which is traditionally what you would be doing when you're responding to calls.
All right. That's a lot more innocent than what I said. So let's take a look at some videos, starting with the police showing up at someone's house, and it turned out the person who was there lives there.
I said you were on the front porch here, and then I saw you walking around the side of the house. And in the backyard, I just checked in to make sure that everything was okay.
Yeah, everything okay.
Okay. Is this your house?
Well, why you ask me that? I mean, what?
Because, you're walking around in the gate and you still haven't gone in the house. Do you have any ID on you?
Yeah, I do. I have ID.
Okay. Can I get your ID, please?
No, you ain't gonna get my ID, man. What's wrong with you, man?
108. Would you start me another unit? Subject to use my ID.
What I'm gonna give you my ID for?
Yeah, 118. Can I get you another 819?
Because I don't know whose house this is.
I won't be at nobody's house. So you think I'm just gonna be at somebody's house, walking around their house? That's what you think? I'm just gonna be. Why you think I'm walking around somebody's house? Why you think that?
I saw you walking around the house.
I know, but why?
What I do is just verify what you're doing here. If everything's legit, I'll get out of the way.
It's legit.
Okay, so what you doing here?
What I'm doing here? What are you saying? What I'm doing here? I can't be right here. I can't. I stay here. Okay, what you want? I stay here.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, that's what I was asking.
Yeah, come on,
All right,
man.
this goes on and on like this for a while. Has it happened to Greg? Have you ever deemed someone to be suspicious when they actually were doing absolutely nothing wrong?
Well, the only thing before I even go into that, the reason why this is happening is because when somebody says, why are you living here? And you say, or no, you live here and you say, why are you asking me that? It'd be so much easier if this person would just say, yes, I do live here. I don't own the house, but it's my girlfriend's house and I do have ID. And then he can just leave. I mean, I hate when I see these things going on and on.
You're blaming the victim.
I'm not blaming him, but I'm saying he could resolve this like with.
Well, he could, but I think he's objecting to the fact that he's been profiled.
Yeah, I get it. I understand, but if you want this thing to come to an end sooner than later, it makes it.
You're assuming that's his number one priority, or should be. Whereas what I'm saying is his priority may be to give the cops shit for giving him shit.
Well, I don't know. Is he being rude by saying, "Do you live here?" I mean, if you say, "I do," then it reduces the interaction time, and then everyone can go on and do what they want to be doing, as opposed to standing there and debating over whether the person actually belongs there or not. Because here's the other side of that, Jeff. If he just says that, the guy says, "Why are you asking me that?" and the cop walks away, and then an hour later they get called and they said, "Hey, there was a burglary there. Weren't you already at the scene?" And he says, "Yeah, but the guy didn't want to answer my question, so I left."
Okay. Well, the other thing that might be somewhat confusing, I guess, that I don't know if it came already or if it was later in the video, but the guy said he stays there.
Yes.
And I had a friend in Los Angeles, a black guy, older black guy from the South, and he used to say that he stays at his apartment. So that might be a thing in African-American culture where they say stay when they mean live, where otherwise. Have you ever heard that?
No.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, I got the impression when he said that he doesn't own the home, but he is living there.
Right. Well, the guy I'm talking about did. I mean, he.
Yeah. No, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
All right. Let's see. What else do we have here? Hang on. All right. Let's take a look at another video.
What do you have in your hand? Show me your hands. Okay. Stay in the car. Okay. Turn around. Place your hands behind your back. What are you doing?
I'm filling up gas can.
You understand you're holding it like this, like it's a pistol, right?
No, I was showing her to cut the pump on.
Okay, but that's not what it looks like to the motoring public on the roadway.
I was just showing her the thing to let her know to get the gas.
Do you have your ID on you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I turn around?
Yeah, that's fine.
Dang,
All right. But you understand you're holding it like this and it looks like a handgun, right?
No, I'm trying to let her know to pump the gas, bro.
521 775 8742.
Put your hands in there. Put your hands behind your back.
Yeah,
What? I'm sure there's cameras.
Mr. Rupp.
I ain't got nothing to say to you, bro. I ain't being detained. I want to go. I don't got nothing to say to you. You know what you did. I don't got no rap.
Well, it looks like he's holding a gun.
Man, that don't look like no gun when you see this right here swinging.
I didn't see that, sir.
Man, yeah, you saw what you wanted to see. You saw a mother tattoos. Why would I be holding a gun like this right here? Hey, who? Man, you saw what you wanted to see.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, what happened?
So I'm driving down the road, and he's got something black in his hand, and he's moving it like it's a pistol. So I pulled in to investigate what was going on. That's all.
Oh yeah, because his pump wasn't on, and he was signaling me that the pump wasn't.
All right, you going to stick up for the cop again this time?
No, I am not. Unfortunately, that never happened to me, and the reason why it never happened to me is because I think I would have the common sense to realize that he's at a gas station and the pumps sort of look, I guess, like a firearm, except there's a hose coming out the end of it. Yeah.
Well, even if he didn't realize that, once it was clear what was happening, the cop should have immediately said, "Okay, sorry," and left. Instead, he's lecturing the guy.
Yes.
About, do you understand what it looks like? Do you understand what it looks like?
Yeah. Yeah. Not a great look for that department. Yeah.
All right.
Painful.
So you don't always stick up for the cop.
No. I tend to probably give them the benefit of the doubt at times, but not at all times.
All right. This time, I don't think there's anything to fault the police over this next video, but let's see.
She's crashed into Alta. Maybe she just collided with the intersection. She's trying to keep the car.
Inside the store, running back out of it. Make sure I shoot across. Back to the car, the back of the house. Come over the world, in the car.
All right. You know, I was about to say we've seen some police chases, but this is the first time we've seen a business destroyed. But then I just remembered that one in the laundromat. Remember when they were trying to?
Oh yeah.
To get the money out of an ATM in the laundromat.
Yeah.
So anyway, sorry to be redundant, audience, but as long as we showed that video, ever come across somebody destroying a business like that?
Never. No. That's.
I hope they have insurance.
I was just curious, Jeff, because you found this. It was this like more of a DUI scenario, or is this someone that thought that they were going to break into an Ulta, I guess, right, cosmetic store, and basically do a smash and grab and then leave, and it was interrupted, or is this somebody who was just out of their mind?
I don't remember if there was any. If there might have been additional info, but if there was, I don't remember.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. We have one more.
All right.
Here we go.
6 tickets. All right, bro. I know you don't.
Oh, by the way, this is the one you sent me, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. This is a Greg Dillon curated video, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go.
6 tickets. All right, bro. I know you don't. He's explaining it to you. And I'm not paying him. 1. Okay. Driving on the license, registration. Okay, 2. No insurance. All right. 3, 4, taking the 5, 6. Your ticket? Right there. That's your tickets. Don't let him in the car. I could get him. No, you're not. You got no insurance. I have insurance. No, show it to me. Show it to me. Yeah, show us and he will let you go. It is expired. My is not. Excuse me, bro. 11. 3, bro, stop touching. I'm grabbing my keys. Stop touching. 11. Bro, I'm about to go grab my keys. Stop touching.
We're showing you the insurance. We're showing you the insurance.
All right, excuse me. I'm about to grab my keys.
Showing you the insurance.
All right, give me my keys. No, that's my property. Give me my keys. Bro, give me my keys, dog. Are you 23? 11, 3, 24. Here you go, bro. That's it, buddy. Come on. You're hurting me, bro.
All right, I can't even figure out what happened there. Maybe since you're the one who found this video, you understand what's going on there.
You know as much as I do. It looked like it was going to be I don't want to say a routine, but a traffic violation.
Who is it that's saying we're showing the insurance? Was that like a passenger that was with him, but that's not on camera?
I thought it was another officer on the scene there, but I'm not sure.
It doesn't. But why would a cop be saying we're showing you the insurance? It's up to the person who was pulled over to show.
Oh, and possibly it was a passenger. Yeah.
Well, let me play that again.
The insurance. We're showing you the insurance.
All right, excuse me. I'm about to grab my keys.
We're showing you the insurance. That's what I'm talking about.
We're showing you the insurance. We're showing you the insurance.
All right, excuse me. I'm about to grab my keys. All right, give me my keys.
So that was one question I had, and then I don't understand what happened, why it turned bad. I mean, the guy I can see was carrying on. He rips up the tickets. That's not against the law, though. He can rip up the tickets if he wants to, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And then he wants his keys back. But what is it that caused the officers to jump on him and handcuff him? I
think he got a little too physical wanting his keys back. And he probably, at that point, breached the peace of the police officer, who felt that at this point now it was becoming a little dangerous, and that he had violated his personal space to the point where it was interfering with an investigation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Of course, that is dramatic. That's like a Nancy Pelosi ripping up the State of the Union. It's a real FU to somebody, but it's not illegal, right?
it's great theater. No, but I mean, I had somebody do that one time, and then I wrote him up for littering.
Did you really?
Yeah. I said we could be here all day. So what else do you want to do next?
Oh, Somerville John thinks like you do.
There we go.
What's the fine for littering in Connecticut?
Oh, I forget, but there was an infraction for that too. Yeah.
I hate littering. You know, in some respects, I think littering is worse than shoplifting, because I mean, at times shoplifting could be like a matter of survival, right? You need a diaper for your baby, you need some food.
That's such
but nobody needs to litter.
No,
that's the
but
thing.
Jeff, let's face it. I mean, when you trot that excuse out, there are food banks and there are shelters and there are.
Yeah, my point is not so much to excuse shoplifting as it is that I find littering inexcusable. That's really my point.
Well, it's a disrespectful disregard of society, and there's no reason for it. I agree with you on that. Yeah, but I don't. The shoplifting is taking property from a store that is trying to make money, and the losses are passed on to us, the consumer. So I guess maybe they're offsetting kind of penalties there.
Right. Before I moved to North Carolina, I lived in Long Beach, California, and one of the things that I didn't like was I would often see people who didn't pick up after their dog, and I saw it all the time, like frequently. Do you know how many times I've seen it since I moved here? I've been here a little over 2 years. None.
Very seldom, I imagine.
Zero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cultural thing. I mean, and I say cultural, not ethnic cultural, but demographic cultural, I think.
You think so? You mean based on economic status, or
No.
based on where people live?
What the community tolerates and what they don't tolerate.
Oh yeah. Well, they tolerate everything in California.
Yeah. I was going to say, if people can crap on the sidewalks, then I imagine it's kind of a pass for a dog to do it.
Oh, and I've seen that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Civilization. It's a thing, or maybe it's not a thing. All right. Well, next week is the 23rd, and I know that's getting close to Christmas. I don't know if you've thought about that, but I'm available next week. How about you? Or do you need to think about it some more?
Is it Christmas Eve or is it just the day?
No, it's the night before. It's the night before Christmas Eve.
The night before Christmas Eve, and all in the house. Yeah, that should be fine.
I think somebody else had a question for you. Hang on, let me see. Trying to find it. Here it is. I wonder if Greg with 2 G's is familiar with what happened to Lucas Gage. He was doxxed, bullied, raided by the FBI because of a false call against him, framing him as a suicidal bomber. If so, if you're familiar with it, what is your opinion, Greg?
I'm going to have to take a pass on this because I'm not familiar at all with that. I can certainly look it up over the course of the week, and we can put it forward to next week, but I don't know that case at all.
All right. Well, I'm just happy that I know Shear is Helen Sheridan. A pleasure, Helen, a pleasure. Give us a call sometime. Let's hear what you sound like, too. Let's not let Somerville John dominate the proceedings. All right. Thank you, Greg. You're the best. My pleasure, and thanks to our beloved audience. We'll see you. Did we say yes? We're doing a show next week?
Yeah, I think we can do it. Sure, yeah.
Yep. Okay, great. See you all next week. Take care. Till then.
Thank you.